It's time to play. Let's rewind to yesterday. The fun begins. We're here to stay. Ready, set, replay.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Recap, where we recap what's been going on. I'm Daniel, joined as always by my best friend Skyler.
Back at it again.
This week in the news, the Nintendo situation, believe it or not, got worse. Outer Worlds 2 gave us our first look at gameplay. We got a trailer for Tron Ares, and we have the final and I think full card, hopefully, for WrestleMania 41. But before we get into all that, Skyler, what's been going on with you this week?
Let me tell you, not a whole hell of a lot because I was sick this week.
Sick, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, nothing takes a grown man down faster than a sore throat and an upset tummy.
Yeah.
So I basically, whenever I could, just kicked back and watched a couple movies. One of the movies I watched was Tron Legacy, and I like that movie. It's not perfect, but I like it.
Is that the Jeff Bridges one? Is Jeff Bridges in multiple?
They're all Jeff Bridges ones.
They're all. Oh, is he even in like the original ones?
Yeah, well, he's Flynn. He's the character from the human character, I should say.
The
from the
literal
original.
only Tron I've ever experienced is the Kingdom Hearts world.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Bridges ain't in that.
He should be.
Well, no, you get Tron instead. The character Tron.
The character Tron.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he doesn't do the voice in it. Is that even a different character? I assume.
Okay. All right. We're off to a strong start.
I don't know anything about Tron other than
no. It's okay.
It's
okay.
Lame
It's okay.
and for losers.
So I won't argue that. So so Jeff Bridges is a human from the human world, from the user's world,
right?
And every human, can create either an avatar or a program based off of them in the grid, the Tron world. And so Tron is not Jeff Bridges' program. It's a different character's program. But like whenever you go into the world, to the grid, and you see the program, it's played by the same actor. So I don't remember the actor's name that plays Tron, but he's a different guy. He's not Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges' avatar / program is called Clue, and he becomes the bad guy in Legacy.
Damn.
So there's a good old Jeff Bridges, and there's an evil young digital Jeff Bridges, which they did a very early version of that digital de-aging makeup, and he looks like a ghost, and it's bad. It's not good. It does not hold up.
Does it
but
at
I
least
still
get
like
kind of an excuse because it's in like a digital world and so everything looks kind of weird?
You know, it would, but the first time you see the digital makeup, it's not in the grid. It's in a flashback in the real world.
Uh-oh.
So that kind of... See, I like your train of thought, and
I was
like
trying.
A lot of people try that, but it doesn't work.
I mean, I haven't seen the movie, and
still a fun movie though.
Won't.
The grid is such a vibe.
Yeah. You know what? I lied. I did also at one point watch you play the Tron video game from like 400,000 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So I have experienced two forms of Tron, Kingdom Hearts and the video game.
Yeah, both video games, because you're a gaming nerd.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm a movie nerd, so it works out.
Could not watch the movie that takes place in sort of a game, I guess. Is it a game? No, it's just like a digital world. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I'm sure.
For the context of our episode now, let's not get into it.
That's fair. This week I played a game. I didn't finish it yet, although I'm getting really close.
Can I guess?
No.
Oh.
Yes, go ahead.
Is it a brand spanking new game that came out this week?
No, it's the game that I need to finish before I can start playing South of Midnight, but I do really want to play South of Midnight.
I see.
But no, I'm still trying to finish Avowed, which I think you said a couple weeks ago you had started and were like not feeling.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to it because I've been doing other stuff. But
yeah.
I gave it a little poke, and I was like, and I met the Garrus man, and then I was like, I'm done.
Man. The Garrus man is the best companion. I now have all of the companions. There's only 4 of them.
I knew that. There's only 4.
Well, it's a pretty short game.
Okay.
I just haven't. I've been taking forever to play it because I've been super busy, and I'm also playing like 4 other games. So, but I'm about halfway done to the second to last like area, which is called Shatterscarp. It's like a desert sort of area, I guess. It's where Kai's people are from. the Garrus Fishman. It's where his people hang out.
The fish people are from the desert.
Yeah, well, because it used to be a lake, and then it like there were like cracked
Uh,
open, and now there's
many
no water.
many such cases with deserts.
Yeah,
They all used
maybe.
to be lakes.
I That might be true. I genuinely don't know, but probably sure. But I really like it. I don't think it's like the most amazing thing in the world. It has the number one problem that I keep running into is that like when I'm talking to people, sometimes like the frame rate on just like one person will drop, and so they end up like kind of stuttering around, and it's become like genuinely kind of annoying.
Mm,
But otherwise I'm really really enjoying it. I think the storytelling of it is really good. I think a lot of the like side quests that you do tackle topics that I would never have expected, especially today for a video game to even like try to attempt. Like
sure.
there's a side quest where you get to decide like whether or not your character wants to like uphold abortion rights in this new land, and that's
Oh,
genuinely crazy, right? Like
yeah. You'd think people wouldn't want to get political.
yeah, apparently Obsidian was just like, well, we're gonna, but we'll let you make the
Right.
decision of how you want to feel about it. And it's also fun because so you play as like the envoy from a kingdom called Adir or Adir, and
Right.
it's mentioned that like in Adir, this drug that is basically used to abort a pregnancy, that it's like completely outlawed. So they're like super duper pro life in Adir. Then you get to decide like, well, do I agree with that? Because I'm an envoy to the Empire. Like, should I uphold our beliefs in this foreign land, or should I let them figure it out for themselves or do whatever they want?
Yeah.
And it's handled really well in a way that
Well,
very
that's
much surprised me. So
cool.
I was very happy with that. And there's a lot of like little things, little side quests that handle like bigger topics like that in a way that like doesn't super impact the main storyline, but it's just like you get to make some really impactful decisions about who your character is and what kind of person they are, like how they feel about the functions of the world. And I think that's really interesting. I think that it's one of the most like genuine role-playing games in that way that I've played in a long time. And I'm excited to see how it ends because I'm starting to sort of unravel the mystery of like this voice that's in your head and all this stuff. And I'm curious. I'm
All right.
curious to see where this
Cool.
goes. It's definitely an interesting world. So I'm excited to see
How
where it goes. Um but no, yeah, it looks like so both of the things that we did this week have sort of new updates to them. Do you want to talk about the Tron Ares trailer?
Let's talk about the Tron Ares trailer.
Tron Ares, baby. I mean, I didn't watch any of the other movies, so I'm probably still not gonna watch this one. But hey,
Mm.
looks neat. I don't know.
It
That's all I
does
got.
until it doesn't.
Is the part that it doesn't look neat the part where Jared Leto shows up?
That would be it.
Yeah, I don't like him. Did he
I
get
don't
canceled
think
or
many
was he
people.
just
Yes,
gross?
yes, yes.
Okay.
No, both things. Both things are true.
Okay.
We don't need to go into all that. I'm sure people listening either already know or have the ability to find out what he did, allegedly. But I don't know what kind of dirt he has on Hollywood that he keeps getting. Because even if you take away the ew, he did something we don't really care for.
Yeah.
He's just not good
He's a bad actor.
90% of the time. I've seen him. He was good in that movie he won an Oscar for. I did watch that.
Dallas Buyers Club
The
or whatever.
Dallas Buyers Club, yeah. I watched it. He was rather good in that. And then it's just been years of Joker and Morbius, and
Yeah.
he shows up in Blade Runner for a minute, and then nobody talks about him anymore. And then now he's in this. I don't know, something he has some sort of in with Disney to get this spot, because I don't know why else they would take him. But so if you take that away,
Is
you
he like
ignore that.
is he the main character?
Yeah, he's Ares.
Well, that's a tough
This is
thing to take
Tron
away then.
Ares,
This
and
is
he is
Tron Leto. Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
Well,
Um,
cool.
but so other than that, I think visually this looks good. Obviously, the one of the biggest talking points of this movie in general is that Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are doing the music,
Right,
which
because Daft
is
Punk is
like
dead.
a big. They did one of them blew up in the desert.
Yeah.
That's true.
It was unfortunate, but it happened.
Yeah, so Daft Punk obviously did the soundtrack for Legacy, and it's a very good soundtrack. I think a lot of people, even if people hadn't seen that movie, if they were fans of Daft Punk, they listened to the album at least, and there's good music in it. And Nine Inch Nails does some pretty damn good music in general, especially
Yeah,
for the movies that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross have been scoring lately.
right. Because they've done a bunch of
For
things like
like,
not under the name Nine Inch Nails. It's like just under Trent Reznor's name, right? And I think he's
yeah,
done some games too.
yeah, so Trent Reznor did movies by himself, like he did the Social Network music, and I could look up a whole list of the things. But then he started teaming up with Atticus Ross again, and then they did like the Challengers movie from last year,
I don't know anything about the soundtrack
and
of that one.
it was really good.
Uh, it's not a part of that movie that people talk about. To be fair,
No, it's the kissing.
they talk about the kissing, the
But
smooching.
but yeah, so normally they just go under their names, but now lately they've been just calling themselves Nine Inch Nails, and I don't know if that's a marketability thing to like reach past whose idea it was, whether it was theirs or whoever's doing, because they're doing that game. Don't remember which one,
Okay.
but they did specifically say Nine Inch Nails was doing the music for it. Do you remember what that game is?
Not off the top of my head. I know that they had a song in Hi-Fi Rush. There was a Nine Inch Nails song in that, but
Mm.
I don't know like what new game they're doing the soundtrack for. It might have been Expedition 33. I don't know why that game is coming to mind.
Either way, that's it's probably going to be good music, and it looks good visually. And I know I talked to a friend about it where they were like, it's kind of lame that they're doing the Tron world comes to the real world thing, because we're riding light cycles through the streets and cutting through cars, and then there's big ships around.
Yeah.
But my response was, and you wouldn't know this because you said you hadn't seen it.
Yep.
I was like, well, clearly you don't remember how Tron Legacy ends, because that's like a whole plot point of Tron Legacy is the evil young digital Jeff Bridges trying to build an army of like enslaved programs to invade the real world, and he needs real Jeff Bridges disc that he
Mm,
carries to access the real world. And the movie ends with Bridges' son and a program leaving the grid and going to the real world. So there's precedent in this universe for programs being able to just go to the real world and
sick.
live and see the sunlight as that movie ends.
I choose to believe
So
that
like
the
it works.
army of programs that he's raising are like Clippy from Microsoft Office and like the Owl from Duolingo, you know.
I'm not going to tell you
And
you're wrong.
well, I'm not gonna watch the movies to find out. So this is true now. It's the Tron Legacy South Park Imagination Land. That's what I'm going for. That's the world that I want to
Yeah.
live in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think like I watched the trailer, and I think the movie looks good. I didn't know that it's like new that the Tron people are coming to the real world. I figured I don't. I think to my knowledge, I think there's been like 4 of these movies now. So I assumed that at some point it had happened in the past because I don't know how much you
You-
can do in the Tron world.
Tron, there's Tron Legacy, and now there's this one. So this is the third movie.
Oh
But
damn!
there's been a cartoon show which I didn't watch, and then
And a Kingdom Hearts,
Kingdom Hearts. So if
right?
you count that,
I do, of course.
yeah, sure, of course,
Yeah,
it's
I mean
canon.
it's definitely canon for sure canon. So yeah, I didn't even know that that was like a new thing. I will say the light cycle thing was like kind of weird to me because it like I don't know, it just felt really out of place. And I get that that's sort of the point because it is out
Sure.
of place, but it felt out of
Yeah.
place in like a really incongruous way. Like it literally looked like it shouldn't be
So
there.
like, how does this work? Kind of way.
I mean, yeah, because it was like, okay, so we put this program in the real world. Like it, I don't understand the lore of the world, but like, okay, so the light cycle is a program, so
Yeah.
it was brought into the real world, but it still functions how it did as a program. When the
Sure.
programs come to the real world, do they need to like possess a robot body, or like
I
how does
will.
it work?
I will say this. To go into further detail about why they said programs could go into the real world is because Tron is all about a real human getting sucked into a computer. So why wouldn't it work the other way? Is kind of how they say it.
Sure. So
Um,
when you say sucked in, you mean like literally physically sucked in, or is he like VRing into it? Like
no, no, no. He's not.
his like brain is getting put into it.
He's not VR'd. He's like a little laser digitizes him and then re-uploads him into the computer.
Okay, so we're talking like a
And
smart house situation when the programs are coming to the real world.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. I mean, Smart House was like almost entirely holograms and smoke and mirrors. Shout out to Smart House. But I will say, because I said there's precedent for programs coming to the real world. The only program that we've seen, unless it happens in that cartoon show I didn't watch, I don't know. The
Sure.
only program that we've seen come to the real world was just a girl. It was just Olivia Wilde, and
She's
then she
not
was
in this,
just
is she? Because she wasn't in
no.
the trailer. I thought I
I
heard
don't
Jeff
believe.
Bridges' voice, and then there was
Yeah,
Jared Leto,
you
and those are
do.
the only two people I saw.
Jeff Jeff Bridges to some extent is in this, and we don't know how or why,
Okay.
because he may or may not, spoilers, have made a noble sacrifice at the end of Tron Legacy.
Well, no, I won't ask too many questions because I feel like it's just going to go in circles.
That's fine.
I haven't watched any of
Definitely
it,
don't
so it's just
definitely don't ask questions if you're not going to see this.
yeah, because
Which,
it's just like because the way that you described it to me, I was like, okay, so there's a real Jeff Bridges, and then there's also a program Jeff Bridges. So it's like, are they
yeah.
both dead?
Well, I guess we'll see.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Uh, well, so my thing, Avowed, also has sort of an update happening this week in that a game being made by the same studio got its first look at the gameplay. We got an 11-minute look at the gameplay for Outer Worlds 2, baby. Another game that I think you did play, but like didn't super vibe with, right? Am I right?
I've said this before, man. That's just gonna be my gimmick. Where like I played it, but
Right.
not a lot because I hate video games. No, that's
Yeah,
not
I
me.
did know that
Please
about
give me a
you.
chance.
Right, and you specifically, I've
Um,
heard you say that you hate Obsidian and that you wish that Fergus Urquhart would get sent back to Scotland. That's what I heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
Fergal, whatever. Um,
He's a nice guy.
he gets sent back to Fergal Rock. No,
Fraggle Rock?
yeah.
Did you watch Fraggle
The
Rock as a kid?
I did watch Fraggle Rock as a kid.
I felt like that was before our time. Anyway, go on.
Am I on trial here?
A little bit.
Am I?
I feel like you're always a little
I
bit on trial, but only because you say some
know.
like
I
really
feel
sus.
that too.
You say some really sus things, like kind of constant.
Why is watching Fraggle Rock as a kid sus?
Because I think Fraggle Rock is like 40,000 years old.
You're 40,000 years old and
How
you
dare
don't know
you? We're
anything.
literally the same age now.
For now. Come
For
August.
for another like
Point and
4 months, mother. Let's go.
Anyways, yeah, I played a bit of the first Outer Worlds and I wasn't gelling with the tone, I guess. It was a little bit I
Mm.
found it a bit Borderlandsy in like the look how silly we are kind of when I wanted I mean
You just
Fallout in
wanted Fallout.
space.
Yeah, you just wanted
Yeah,
Fallout. I
yeah.
understand.
And you know what's funny? I also wanted that from the Bethesda one,
Starfield?
Starfield. I also wanted just Fallout in space
I'm
from
starting to get this feeling
Starfield.
that like maybe you just don't like new games anymore. I
I
think
don't
you've
like video
hit
games
you've
either.
hit your point. Oh, you hit like 30 and you went, they don't make games like they did when I was a kid. Like that's the point that you've hit now.
I would like to say no, that is not me.
All right. What's a
I
game that came out in the
I
last 2 years that you loved?
I don't name some. I don't know. The last 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm. You know what? I'm not going to answer your question because the first game that came to my mind, you're going to point at me like it's a gotcha moment.
Okay. What is it? Like a gooner ass like hentai game?
No, it was the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Gotcha, bitch.
Fuck
Uh
you.
anyway, so they showed off gameplay for Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
A game that I guess you probably won't be super interested in if you didn't finish the first one.
No, I mean I might be.
Um,
I mean, there's always possibility, especially if you're an idiot with a podcast that's all about going back and playing games, that I
sure.
will go back and play Outer Worlds before this comes out, and
True.
then I'll gel with it more, or maybe I'll hate it more, but then I'll give this one a shot to see if it's better. I
Fair.
don't know. I'm not against it. There's a
Uh
part where he fills up his gun with some Gatorade. Looks
yeah, I
cool.
think it's like an acid gun or something. It's unclear to me. It looks good though. I mean, it basically just like looks like Outer Worlds, but like what if it looked better and looked like it played better, which is
That's kind of what I was getting from
basically
it.
what I was expecting.
Mhm.
Like the fidelity, like graphical fidelity, obviously looks a lot better because I think I'm pretty confident that Outer Worlds was a full console generation ago at this point. I don't know the exact year that came out, but I'm like 90% sure that came out on like Xbox One. Uh, so yeah, it should look better, and it looks like it runs better. The lighting looks a lot prettier. We see some like fabric physics going on that are really interesting. And that's sort of where my positives for it end. I don't think it looks bad by any means. It's just like this doesn't give me enough information to like have a super educated decision, like a mindset about it.
Sure.
Oh, I will say one more positive is that it looks like you can be super evil in it, because at the end of the gameplay, he kills his quest giver,
Ooh.
and he's like walking around with a cultist who's like talking about wanting to do big murder the whole time. So that's good, because a lot of people have been complaining about RPGs lately not letting you be the bad guy, and often
Right.
in games that objectively do let you be the bad guy. So I hope this one. I guess you just have to be able to like pick up a lady and tie her to a railroad track to make some of these people happy. But whatever. The like they said that about Avowed, and in Avowed you can literally kill a city. So I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever. Uh, the so yes, it's nice that they're gonna like let you be evil. Uh, we get the first look at one of the companions whose name looks like it's like Azza or Azra. I couldn't really see it super well. And she seems like a real douche. She's a cultist who loves murder. I probably won't use her much if that's her entire gimmick, because I generally like to play the good guy, and so the murder character is probably not one that I'm going to vibe with super hard.
Right.
And I also did make note of the fact that in the entire 11 minutes we didn't see a single face, which is to me a little bit of a red flag in terms of like the thing coming out this year. Um,
Yeah, I
'Cause-
guess that makes sense.
like their faces have looked good in previous games, and I assume this is just the same engine that they are, basically the exact same system as they're using for Avowed in the previous Outer Worlds game, and like they've looked good enough in both of those. So I'm not like concerned about it, but I did note like it's weird that we're not seeing any faces in this. But I don't know. I am excited for it. There's a part of me that expects it to get delayed out of 2025 just because they just put out Avowed, and putting out 2 games in 1 year seems like kind of a stretch for them. Um,
Sure.
and also it's like depending on how late in the year it comes out, like the holiday area is going to be really packed, because Grand Theft Auto might come out this year and Gosiote might come out this
Mm.
year. And like,
Hmm.
is there
Mhm.
room for this in there too? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I don't. You wouldn't expect anything once to go up against Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah, I think the last rumor we heard.
especially if you have to spend $120 for it.
Yeah, well, if there's $120, I'm not going to play it, and so I'll have a lot more time for Outer Worlds too. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the end of the year, because Grand Theft Auto does sort of have the entire industry just held hostage right now.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But speaking of holding people hostage, did you hear
Yeah.
about all the ways that Nintendo got even more evil this week?
All the ways, I'm not sure. I saw the number one
Yeah.
where they took Doug Bowser
Mhm.
and they strapped some C4 to his chest and put him out in front of a crowd. And he was like, if it's too expensive, just buy another Switch. One.
Yeah,
And then they
Which-
blew him up.
which is
So
notably
I saw that.
It is notably one of the most damning things that Don Matrick said during the Xbox One launch. I
Oh,
would argue
yeah.
at this point that the Switch 2 launch has been vastly more embarrassing than the Xbox One launch, which is
I-
genuinely shocking.
I will say when Xbox said it, he said it kind of douchier than this. This wasn't good. He didn't say it in a good way,
No.
but he said it in a way that was, because when Xbox said it, it was like, oh well, screw you, dude. But when Nintendo said it, you were like, oh, Nintendo, no.
I sort of got
Come
the screw you thing from both, but I understand what you're saying. Because when Don Matrick said it, he was like, well, if you don't want to get an Xbox One, like that's fine. You just, can play on the 360. Like, we have a
The-
system
the-
for you. It's called the 360.
Yeah, the
Um,
clip was like,
So the
yeah,
way he said that was like a
we've
little
got a
shitty.
perfect product for you. It's called the 360, and it's just like,
Yeah.
all right, asshole.
Yeah, and this guy's like, you can still continue to play on the Switch. But the thing that makes that one, I think, more offensive to me personally is that when the Xbox One launched, a lot of those games were still like multi-plat, like you could still play them on the Xbox 360. So when he was saying that, it was like, oh, well, I can do
Yeah.
that. Whereas on the Switch 2, they're like, no, screw you. The Switch 1 is
Mhm.
effectively dead the second this thing comes out. But you can still
Mhm.
buy it if you want. So the big news coming out this week about Nintendo is that they've officially delayed the pre-orders in the US and Canada and probably also Mexico. I didn't see that, but I assume it's all kind of the same.
Yep.
Because of the Trump tariffs. Trump is ruining video games, and Nintendo's helping.
Mhm.
We have a new date for when that is supposed to open back up, which is May 8th. So it's like a full month later that we're going to finally be able to pre-order the thing. Although I will say, people have been able to pre-order them in the UK, and they haven't been. Like, it has not been selling out. People have been able to easily get pre-orders if they want one. which was
Right.
not the case with the Switch 1, which implies a vastly lower desire for this thing, which is, I think, fair. Because here's a couple of other things that we learned in the last week. Number one, the cartridges for Switch 2 games, many of them apparently will not actually have the game on the cartridge in terms of the data. It will simply be
Yeah.
a way for you to download the game from the internet, meaning that if you get the Switch
Classic.
and take it someplace where you don't have internet connection and then put the
Mhm.
cartridge in and you haven't installed it yet, you just won't be able to play your game.
Classic.
You will just have no game, which is cool because people, I think like EA tried to do this at one point and people got super pissed at them and then they stopped doing it. And so now all the games are on the card, are on like discs pretty consistently. There's been a handful where they don't do it and then everyone gets super pissed and they end up re-releasing it with the game actually on the disc usually.
Yeah.
And people like to argue it's like, oh, but like it's still not the full game because like DLC comes out and then that's not on there. It's like, okay, well, I don't know
Well,
what you want from me.
you also buy that separately. You don't have to buy it at all.
Yeah, it's like that's a different
I
thing. You know, I
I
still
did
own the
buy the
game.
game.
I just don't own
Yeah.
the additional product. Um, but yeah, so that's interesting. They also announced that for the first year, chat is free. So the ability to chat with your friends through the like C button is free. After that, you will have to have the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack thing, or maybe not the Plus expansion pack. I think just the Nintendo Switch Online subscription.
Mhm.
So if you don't have that, as soon as this second year of the Switch 2's life cycle starts, that C button on your controller will simply no longer function, and or it will pull you to a page that says, "Can I have some of your money?"
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
like accidentally push it, which will be interesting. That'll be fun. Great.
What's odd about that to me is, I mean, maybe I'm out of touch.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but like I feel like if you're gaming on the Switch and you want to chat with people, you probably already spend enough time on the Switch to have Nintendo Online. Like if it's plus expansion pack, like if it's a higher tier, that's a little stupid,
Yeah.
especially if they're just like it's a typical they've basically invented Xbox Live. Good job.
I mean, more so they invented Discord, but I will say this
Yeah.
will make them the only platform that forces you to pay money to use chat functionality.
Yeah, but like I don't think that's gonna pay off. Like people just aren't gonna do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Aren't
think
people
so.
just gonna continue to use Discord?
That's what most people do now because there's no chat functionality on the Switch 1. So I imagine that, like, I don't think the Switch 2 is going to find a new audience. I think the people who are going to buy a Switch 2 are going to be the most hardcore of Switch 1 fans. And at that point, if they've been playing
Yeah.
primarily on that, they've already found some route around to talk to their friends while they're playing games. Like, this is not new
Well,
tech. They're
we talked
they're
about it
talking about
last
Discord on
week.
their phone or something. Yeah.
We talked about it last week. I think 90% of that is true. The only like time Nintendo specifically is finding a new audience, and maybe like all video game consoles and companies are finding a new audience, is when new kids are born and reach the age to play video games.
I don't even know if that's the case anymore. I really genuinely think the Nintendo audience is aging out of life at this point. Because new kid, like when I talk to the kids at work, like the Gen Z, Gen Alpha kids that I work with, they don't care about Nintendo at all. They talk about Fortnite, they talk about Roblox. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo is not a conversation with them.
Sure, but that's not the case with everybody.
Not with
Like
everybody, no, but certainly it's a
but
much
no,
smaller number than
you're
like
you're
our
saying you're
generation.
saying the market is dwindling. That's I won't argue that. That seems to make sense, but I just think like their highest opportunity to get new customers is when a kid wants to play a Mario game and their parents buy it for them. But we talked about it last week where because of these prices and everything, like parents are going to be like, "Oh, it's how much just to play a Donkey Kong game?" Well, we're not going to do that then. We can just buy an Xbox and then you can play Fortnite for free or something, or just tell them to go play baseball outside. Kids still do that.
Kids do. Baseball's making a comeback.
There's kids playing basketball on my street every day. I want to run them over,
I
but I
almost
don't.
I almost do run them over sometimes because they don't hear my car, I guess, and then stand in
Some
the street. You witnessed this last time.
some of them just don't get out of the way. They're
I
like
think I think they
chickens in
long
the
for
rain
death.
with their mouths open.
Yeah. They saw the Minecraft
They
movie and now their life is complete and they choose
Yeah.
to die.
Yep. Yeah.
Some other terrible things that Nintendo is doing. So a lot of people, because the storage was terrible on the first Switch, although I never ran into problems, but I don't play a lot on my Switch. a lot of people bought SD cards so that they could have more games installed or like have more save files or whatever. All of those old SD cards will no longer work, and it seems like there's an incredibly complicated system to transfer that data from those cards to the now faster and almost certainly more expensive cards that will be the only ones that will work on your Switch 2. So all of those save files will probably for a lot of people just be lost.
Do you remember when people wanted the Switch 2? They were like, they're going to talk about the Switch 2. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it happened.
People
Why
wanted
do
it.
people want people? Why do people want this?
I don't know.
This is only ruining everything.
Well, and it's crazy because a lot of people wanted it clear through the direct. It wasn't until the information that came out afterwards where they were like, "Oh, well, never mind," because like they showed off games and the features, and they were like, "Yeah, like these are either." Some people were like really into it, and other people were like, "This is fine, whatever. It's more Nintendo stuff." And then all the news that came out afterwards with the pricing was like, "Oh, I don't want it. Like, I don't want it that bad."
The pricing is a very specific situation that's, I won't say is unprecedented, but unfortunate.
It's bad.
But like we had to have seen this coming with the no backwards compatibility and certain problems switching from
Right.
one console generation to another. It happens every time with everyone, and
Well, the Switch 2, one of its positives is that it is backwards compatible. You can just put a cartridge from Switch 1 onto Switch 2, and it will
that
play,
is true.
which is good.
That
That is one of its.
Well, I guess
one of its
what I
few
meant
positives.
what I meant was every time there's a new console generation for any company,
Yeah.
it's like everyone's like, "Oh my God, the specs are so good, and I'm so excited to do this." And it's just like I have to spend all this money if I want to play the new game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that will not come out on this.
Although
and it's unfortunate.
The PS5 and the newest Xbox, the Series X and Series S, they didn't launch with really any games that were exclusive to the new hardware. And I think it's largely because they were launching during COVID, and so they were like, "Well, we're going to put it on the old thing because people probably won't be able to buy new consoles."
Sure.
So they have like much more slowly rolled that generational gap.
And the
Whereas Nintendo was
availability
making it,
insane.
yeah, it was pretty bad. Whereas Nintendo is making a very hard line in the dirt about like Switch 1 versus Switch 2. Some other things that they are doing. Doug Bowser, during that same interview where he stuck his foot in his mouth, also stuck his other foot in his mouth, and he said, "Hey, so you know how the videos on the bottom of the chat thing were running like really bad at really bad frame rate?" He said, "We did that on purpose so that the system would run better." It's like, maybe just don't do it then. Don't tell me you made it bad on purpose. That doesn't make it good. That just upsets me more.
We made it bad on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I figured, but like,
Yeah.
don't say it.
Yeah. He also said that they're using the same sticks from the previous generation, so expect stick drift on the Switch 2. People were
Yay.
expecting them to use these things called Hall effect sticks, which is a thing that like through a lot of techno mumbo jumbo basically makes it so that stick drift is not possible. Like it reads the movement in a different way, and they cost the same amount. Like a controller with Hall effect sticks and a controller with regular sticks cost the same. And so people are like, "Oh, they'll probably just use that." And apparently a lot of the like early documentation showed it using that, and then now they have confirmed that is in fact not the case. So do expect drift on your Switch 2.
Yeah, they probably get a lot of sales from buying new Joy-Cons all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's why would they stop that?
Which goodwill to all men.
I am not defending them for the record. As someone
I mean,
who's
it's a bad thing.
bought more Joy-Cons than I've ever wanted to because they have a fucking shelf life.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
So last time we talked, we said, "Hey, the Switch 2 has achievements, but they're only on the cell phone app." It turns out, no, that's not true. Just Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have achievements that are tied only to the app. Other games will not have achievements. So they cleared that up. It's not a big deal, but I do think it's funny that they're like, "No, just these ones. We wanted achievements, but only over here."
Yeah, that's whatever. I don't care. I mean, I know people do care, and because like getting achievements is fun.
Yeah.
But like, I don't care anymore. I can't possibly on the list of things to be mad about. I can't possibly spend time on that.
Yeah, you should instead be mad about how the more expensive versions, Switch 2 versions of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, also don't include the DLC for either game.
Cool.
So they're more expensive, but they're the same game. They just run marginally better, and for a game that is already backwards compatible and should probably just run better on the new system regardless because it's on more powerful hardware.
No, I don't. I'm not buying that. I don't need it.
The Japanese version of the Switch is only $330.
Yeah.
However, It is region locked. It is the only region to be region locked, meaning that it can only play Japanese games and will only have Japanese language options. There's a cheaper version that literally no one can get ever, unless you speak Japanese. That GameCube controller that they announced doesn't work for Switch 2. It just doesn't. It doesn't work for the Switch 2. It only works for the GameCube classic games on Switch 2. Meaning you will have to navigate to the GameCube with your normal Joy-Cons and then switch to the GameCube controller if you choose to play with that thing.
I see.
Meaning it is a controller
Well,
that you cannot use unless you have a $500 or $450 console and Nintendo Switch Online and the expansion pass. And then at that point, you can play 3 games with it at launch.
you can't even navigate like the Switch menu.
It's unclear, but the going theory is no.
That's would be very odd if that's the case, because why wouldn't? Because like I understand the idea of, even though every Nintendo controller is basically mapped out to have all the same buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd think that it shouldn't be a problem, but like, let's say you could control it on the menu and then you go in to play Breath of the Wild with a GameCube controller, and then it's just like, this controller is not formatted for this game. Please switch back to the Joy-Cons, please. Like, I would understand that to an extent, but like the idea that you have to turn on your Joy-Cons and then click on a GameCube game and then switch from there sounds mildly annoying.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, expensive for nothing.
Because it's also like a $90 controller, I'm pretty sure. They announced 2 different versions of the camera that you can plug into the top, although you can use any USB-C camera on the Switch. They announced 2 proprietary ones. One that runs at 1080p and it just looks like a normal camera, and one that is in the shape of a piranha plant that opens and closes its mouth when the camera is on or not, which sounds really cute until you find out that it's $10 cheaper, but can only record at 420p. So it's cheaper and worse, but only by $10, even though it's dramatically worse because they counteract the fact that it was more expensive to manufacture the piranha plant parts of it by making the camera basically fucking useless.
I mean, but it looks like a piranha plant, so
that's cute, I guess. You can just paint the one you already have, and it's got a little ball. You just paint it.
Oh, I can guarantee that there's gonna be someone out there that custom builds like a piranha plant shell that does the same thing.
Oh, the 3D printed tomorrow
over the 1080p one.
Are you familiar with the Nintendo vouchers program?
No, so like food stamps
No, maybe
for video games.
There's a vouchers program that's basically like you can pay a certain amount of money that's like basically the price of, I think it's like 1.5 Switch games, and then get 2 Switch games digitally. That program will be discontinued for Switch 2. It will not work for Switch 2 games. This is all on top of the fact that Mario Kart is $80, but it's not consistent because so they did clarify that physical games don't cost more. So Mario Kart will cost $80 physical or digital. Bonanza, Donkey Kong Bonanza will cost $70 physical or digital. But the $90 thing comes from the fact that they are leaving the door open, and they straight up said like, but some later games will cost $90. So we don't know which ones, but there will be $90 games. They're just being very flippant with which games are going to have what price point. And when asked about it, Doug Bowser was like, well, we think that all of our games are as good. And I was like, no, you don't, because you're charging $10 more or $20 more for some of them than you are for other ones. So no, you don't. So like, explain to me why you believe that Mario Kart is worth more money than Donkey Kong. Is it because you think more people will buy the more expensive one? Because I think that's what it is.
Is it a possibility of, we're going to see if we can hike up game prices, and people were like, no, as we've been many times on this very show.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh no, people are mad. So they're like slowly walking it back, where they're like, no, it's just a couple premium games that are going to be. So every once in a while they put out a Mario like remaster collection or a new Mario game, or like Mario Odyssey 2 they'll put out and it'll be $90, but then everything else is like fairly par for the course price wise.
Yeah.
And so that way people aren't mad constantly. They're only mad every time they put out a $90 one, but it's the new Mario, so people will pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
almost
makes
exactly correct. Yeah, I'm sure that's
I
exactly what it is.
I mean it's messed up and annoying and corporate nonsense, but
Yeah.
I guess it's better that we'll see this exact mentality is how they win, but I guess it's better than what they were saying they were going to do, which is make everything $90.
Yeah. I mean, there will still be $90 games. It will be that next 3D Mario game, that next Zelda game, they will be $90. That's what they're
Mm,
basically saying. So to get prepared for that. The only other thing that's new is that we got a price for that welcome tour thing and clarification on what it is. Welcome tour is literally just a tech demo. It doesn't have games. It is just a little thing that teaches you how to use the Switch. One of the things that they
uh-huh.
showed off in the quote unquote gameplay for it was a kiosk that you walk up to that tells you how to unattach your Joy-Cons from the side of the Switch. This thing is a separate purchase for $10.
$10.
$10.
Okay.
It's cheap, but like, hey, if it's only worth $10, it sounds like you actually don't need that money. And I guarantee your customers need it more than you do.
Yeah, I
So
don't know. That should not cost money,
that should not
period.
cost money. It probably honestly
Like
doesn't really need to exist at all. But if it does
the
exist, it should be free.
we compared it to Astrobot, the first Astrobot,
Yeah.
which was free on the PS5. And fun. And a game? This does not this doesn't I'm not saying it doesn't need to exist. If you need a little tutorial to teach, a 6-year-old how not to rip the Joy-Cons off and break their Switch,
Sure. Yeah.
then that's fine. But like why is it not like just on the console or
I mean,
or a free download?
it could be a piece of paper. It could be a manual. This is a replacement for when we used to get manuals, and they're making you pay $10 for what is effectively a pretty manual.
Yeah, okay.
So that's exciting. So just to sort of reiterate real fast, so they're selling you games at a higher price than anybody else in the industry, despite the fact that their games have the lowest budget of any video games in the industry. They want you to pay the same price as a PS5 for it, even though it is less powerful than a PS4. They're selling you physical games that do not have the game on the cartridge. They are locking DLC for Switch 1 games behind the paywall of the $500, $450 console. They are locking features for Nintendo Switch Online behind a $450 console. They're locking chat behind a $450 console. They are making you pay for the tutorial for the console that you are spending money on. It's gross. This is to me the most embarrassing and catastrophic and terrible console launch I have ever personally witnessed in my entire life. And the most upsetting thing to me about it personally is that when I go and I listen to other podcasts and people in the industry talking about it, they talk about it as though Nintendo is the victim. They're like, oh, well, Nintendo is only doing this because of the tariffs. This is the only reason why they're doing it. It's like, 90% of the things I just said have nothing to do with the tariffs. It's literally just choices they made. And also, on top of all of that, Doug Bowser said in his interview, where he stuck both of his foot in his mouth, he also said that the pricing and everything that they announced during that direct had nothing to do with the tariffs. He said that specifically. And people have jumped through so many hoops trying to defend Nintendo about this that they're like, oh, well, he just meant the new tariffs. Clearly, they meant the old tariffs. They knew about the old tariffs. That's not the case. He specifically said that they had not adjusted for tariffs at all. He specifically said that this had nothing to do with that at all. These were all the choices that they made prior to the announcement of these tariffs. And you can tell that because these prices and these policies are the same in countries that don't have the tariffs.
Yeah.
The only one that doesn't have it is Japan, is they have a cheaper console. They still have all the terrible policies, but the console is at least cheaper, I guess. So, no, Nintendo's the bad guy. Like, look, I understand that Trump and his tariffs are awful. The tariffs are going to destroy the global economy, presuming that they ever actually go into effect. They're destroying the economy now, and they don't even exist yet. Trump is one of the worst people that has ever existed. He is a Cheeto-colored Hitler. He is disappearing American citizens and sending them to a slave camp in El Salvador where they are getting beaten and potentially killed. He has admitted to the fact that multiple of the people that he has sent there don't even, like, they had no reason to send them there. They were not affiliated with Tren de Araguas or the gang that they said that they were affiliated with. They have no criminal record. There is no reason for them to be gone. They have said that. They have been ordered by judges to bring them back, and they are not bringing them back. And I'm starting to think that part of that might be because they either can't get them back or they're dead. And so I understand that, like, there are worse things in the world going on right now than what Nintendo is doing. Our president is a actual literal fucking supervillain. I get that. However, and I'm not distracting from any of that, this is still bad. There can be other bad things. Like, Nintendo is not the victim here. They are doing bad things. They are taking advantage of this situation to charge more for things that they do not need to charge more for. They're taking advantage of the situation being created by our terrible asshole president to price gouge people who don't have money to spend on this thing. And it's going to hurt them just as much as it hurts their consumers, because people aren't going to be able to buy the fucking thing. And so it's this just complete clusterfuck of like, what are we doing? Like when this thing first got announced, I was like, okay, sure, whatever. The Switch 2 is going to happen. I probably won't super care about it because I'm not a huge Nintendo guy, whatever. Then I heard about all this pricing stuff and I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to get one. And then all of this other information has come out after the fact, and it is very quickly getting to the point where I'm like, if I see a person buy a Switch 2, I might genuinely be upset with them for like, and I won't voice that to them because I don't want to like be that guy, but it's literally like, why are you supporting this? Like, why are you buying this thing when they're actively trying to like destroy this industry? Like, oh, but I'll pay $700 between the game and the console and all this because they put the fucking cow in Mario Kart. Like, that's enough for me? That's what you need to buy into this terrible practice that is actively hurting all of the people around you and this entire industry? Is like, oh, but they put the cow in. Cool. Like, I'm just so mad about this whole situation. It's awful. It's awful. And I will try very hard not to be bitter about it in like actual social settings, because it's not, there's so much worse happening in the world right now that it's not worth my time in public spaces to be like, and Nintendo sucks. But like, my emotion is that Nintendo is doing some terrible things. And that the fact that people are like, no, they're the victims. They didn't want to do any of this. Yes, they did. They're a corporation. They wanted your money. And they're taking advantage of anything that they can to get as much of it as possible. That is what is happening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your favorite console is doing that to you, but they are.
That is what's happening. It is a price gouge, and it sucks. It's always a very unfortunate situation where you have to expect or hope for a multi-billion-dollar corporation to have a little humanity and not just take advantage. Like, who's the one that's like, it's tough for consumers right now, so I'm not asking them to take it on the chin or lose money or put stuff out at cost, but it's just like to look at the situation across the world and be like, people don't need to spend all this insane amount of money on this thing right now, so let's only hike up the price 15% instead of 50%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not like the only way to teach. Like, listen, I love Nintendo. I have a lot of good memories with Nintendo, and I have a lot of my favorite games are from Nintendo, and good memories, good times. But like, it's a corporation, and with any corporation, no matter how much you like their product, like, you have to hold them to the standard that without the consumer's power, they have nothing. And the making excuses thing that you said, that gives them the power to not care about us. And that's how this happens across any company.
All industries. Yeah.
Nintendo, Microsoft, Taco Bell, Target, like everything. Literally anything. If you're just like, oh, well, yeah, they're really raking me over the coals, but I need my new Captain America action figure from Hasbro. Well, then guess what? Hasbro's going to make that action figure $50 instead of the 20 that it used to be. So,
yeah,
like, put your foot down, stop going to Disneyland, and the prices will go down.
Exactly. That is the most important thing here is, and I know we don't have a huge audience, so I'm really not speaking to a ton of people, but I really hope that people who do hear this understand that, like, the biggest thing that you can do right now for situations like this is understand that these companies can only charge what you will pay for it. If they charge too high of a price for these things and no one buys it, they will have to drop the price because they have to make their money. They have to pay they have to at least try to pay their employees. They have to pay their shareholders more often. But like, they have to meet their goals, and they can't do that if they charge a price that is not being purchased. The most important thing you can do in situations like this is vote with your wallet. There are more important things that we all could be buying right now. Like, groceries and rent, like things that you genuinely have to buy. The gaming is a luxury. And, I understand that in really hard times like we are living in currently, having that luxury really helps and it feels great and it's nice to have a distraction. And I understand. Trust me, hun, I understand. I use it the same way that everyone else does, which is as an escape. That is what video games are meant for. They're a distraction. But when they are price gouging you in this way, like you need to not pay that. You have to not take that. Because if you do, then they're just going to do it more and again and over again because that's what they can know they can get away with. And like, this isn't a political podcast, and I'm I did get political a minute ago there. It's not, it's so hard not to be these days because I feel like politics are so directly interfering with all the things that we are talking about. Like literally, we can't talk about the Nintendo situation without talking about tariffs, and we can't talk about tariffs without talking about how terrible our president is.
Yeah.
But since I'm already on this topic, one thing that I do, it's just been like really eating away at me. And so I just really want to talk about it for like 1 second. And if it ends up being really stupid, I'll cut it out of the episode later, but I want to talk about it. It's kind of the same thing as the voting with your wallet thing. There are so many terrible things happening in the news right now. Like it's awful. And I'm not going to run through all the things because there are so many that we would be here for another fucking 3 hours talking about how terrible everything going on in the world is right now. I would really appreciate it. And I think one of the most important things that we as people can do right now is to not look away from it. Like we can't just not watch the news because we don't like what's happening in it. We have to know what is happening. When these tough conversations come up, when you're at Thanksgiving dinner and your shitty uncle starts saying some really out of pocket stuff, you have to have the education to tell him why he's wrong, even if he doesn't care. Because the people who do these things only get away with it. They only win in situations where we don't stand up, in situations where we don't fight. That's the only time that they win because there are more people who want the right thing but are too afraid to fight for it. And I'm not saying that you need to go and do protests or that you need to like put yourself out there or endanger yourself in any way, shape, or form, but just keep yourself educated. Like look at what's happening, pay attention, don't close your eyes, look at it even though it sucks. Like it is terrible. And like I wish it wasn't. We all wish it wasn't. But like there's so much going on right now that people need to be aware of because they need to be able to make educated decisions when they do go to vote, when they do have these conversations with their friends and their neighbors and their coworkers about what's happening in the world. Like you need to understand the number of people that I've talked to at my workplace who are grown ass adults. They're like 50 years old and they're like, what is a tariff? Is like mind boggling. It's genuinely upsetting. Like it pisses me off of like, and I know who you voted for and it was the wrong guy. Like, I'm sorry, you voted for the person who's doing this, and he was telling you the whole time what he was going to do, and you didn't bother to educate yourself on what that thing he was saying he was going to do was. And that's on you. That's on you. Like ignorance can only get you so far, right? There's no excuse for being ignorant when you're voting for a thing that can directly impact the entire globe. So I need people to just pay attention. I need them to look at what's happening and form your own opinions about it. You don't have to agree with the things that I'm saying. You don't have to agree that our president is terrible. I would hope that you would, but you don't have to. All that I ask is that you pay attention and make your own decisions and actually vote for the things that are important to you, because I genuinely believe that there are so many more people who want the right thing and want the world to be better than it is now. But they can't do that if they don't know how and why the system is broken. So I need people to pay attention. I need them to actually know what is happening in the world around them. I need that desperately. Sorry, let's make a very awkward transition from the state of the world to the state of wrestling.
Yeah, that's some politics I can get into.
That's some politics I can get into. So we finally got the card for WrestleMania. I feel like we had bits and pieces of it up until now. Like obviously we know who won the Rumble since like, was that February? And like we know what the main events have been for a little while. But we finally have the full card. And I think I'll let you run it down. Because I feel like you follow specifically WWE wrestling a little bit closer than I do.
See, that's funny because wrestling across the board, I have not been watching weekly for a while. I think I've mentioned this on a previous show where I watched the big shows. And also, for those who have listened this far and have gotten to us talking about wrestling and you don't care, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we have a mental illness and it's called being wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be something we talk about occasionally. So, but yeah, WrestleMania is, for lack of a better term, the Super Bowl of wrestling calendar. It is it was for WWE specifically, but like since WWE was like the mainstay for the longest time, it's still a big part of the wrestling season, right? So WrestleMania is now has been for a couple years a two-night affair, a Saturday night and a Sunday, and they've confirmed the matches. Maybe not the complete match order. I'm not entirely sure, but the matches for night 1 and 2, and we're gonna run through that and say at the very least how cool we think that match will be, how excited we are, how not excited we are, and maybe who we think will win.
Yes.
So here we go.
Here we go.
Night one, which is next as of recording this, next Saturday, April 19th.
Yes.
Uh,
When the following episode of this comes up, we will be watching WrestleMania.
we'll go. I'm gonna save what will almost certainly be the main event of the night for last. So I'll go kind of backwards here. So we have Gunther, the current WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which, believe it or not, people who don't know, is not the main championship.
Yeah.
Versus main event Jey Uso for said championship.
I won't say I'm interested in this match because I don't particularly like Jey Uso. I don't think he's a good wrestler. I think he's a great like crowd pleaser, but I don't think he's like good at wrestling. But what I will say is, if they don't put the title on Jey here, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
what are we doing?
So Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble, which I believe we discussed when it happened. He's had like a semi main event push for a while now. Main event Jey Uso, like I said, is his one of his nicknames. And then Gunther is just this big, tough baddie, right? Who's very good, by the way. Yeah,
Yes.
I do think Jey is a good wrestler. He's specifically a very good tag team wrestler. I think when him and his brother Jimmy were in the tag team scene like a few years ago together, I think they were genuinely one of the best tag teams in the world at the time.
I would
I
agree
think they
with
were
that.
not number one per se, but like definitely top five if I'm not being more generous than that. Um, but then they had various splits. Jey Uso got main event pushes, and I really like Jey Uso. I think he's carried almost entirely by personality more than wrestling skill, and I think that was, for lack of a better term, proven by his match against his brother Jimmy at last year's Mania, which everyone who watched it seemed to agree it was the worst or most disappointing match of that Mania.
Yeah, it was one of the worst pay-per-view matches I'd seen in a while.
Yeah, it was not very good. Like baseline story, you're like, oh, Jay is the good brother, Jimmy's the bad brother, and Jay got a win, and that's fine. The actual wrestling match itself was just a lot of super kicks to the face
Mm.
and not much else. So yeah, so Jay as a singles wrestler doesn't impress me very consistently, but as a personality, I think he carries. I do think it is time for him to at least win the world championship because the crowd is so behind him consistently. Whether or
Yeah.
not he holds it for a long time, I don't deem that necessary. But I think it's time that he gets his flowers for the work he's put in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think he should beat Gunther here. By the way, I love Gunther.
Gunther's great.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but I think it's Jay's time.
I think this is a good title for Jay. I think it's
Mhm.
interesting because it is sort of posited as like the second biggest title in the company, but
It
it
is.
does feel like quite a dramatic drop off between this one and the first.
Yeah, but
Like this
that's
one,
because of the name power of the people involved with the first one.
that's true too, but I feel like this title only feels like moderately more important than like the Intercontinental or the US title. And that is partial. That's a booking issue. It's not like the thing itself because the title looks nice. Like I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
I
like
think
it
it's
too.
just been like a booking issue with it because like basically
I
since Seth Rollins dropped it, it has not felt like a big title.
I mean, for God's sake, the main title is called the Undisputed
Yeah,
WWE title,
I
which is just what you do when you combine two belts together, which is what they did to make that one.
right.
But that literally translates to this one over here, which we say is a world championship, does not dispute
Yeah,
the main one.
this one
So,
is significantly lower, and it
yeah.
It's interesting because it's like, I will say also, because we're going to talk about basically all the championships through the course of this, a lot of the
More or
naming
less.
conventions for these titles, not great. Like, if you were just
Eh,
looking at it and you didn't know, it's like, well,
yeah.
what is that one? Who is that for? Like, I
Hmm.
know the naming convention before was like really boring, where it was like Raw Tag Team Champions, SmackDown Tag
Yeah,
Team
yeah.
Champions, but like at least you knew what it meant.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but yeah, what was the second match?
The next match is the current World Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar,
Hmm.
versus the New Day, the evil, newly healed New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods.
I
Uh,
do think the New Day will win this, but I will say I don't think I really care about this match too much. Like I like both teams involved, but I also feel like
yeah.
I've seen this match 1,000 times. You know what I mean?
Oh, we might have. I genuinely don't know. So what we have to remember is we're going back to the old War Raiders here. These are we're back on Triple H War Raiders, where he cares. Now WWE famously treats the tag team division like shit constantly. Like there's other tag team champions who I'd actually prefer to see on this WrestleMania card,
I
and they're
agree.
just not here. They're wrestling on the SmackDown before.
Yeah.
And because for a couple years now, ever since WrestleMania became a 2-day event, they somehow are still unable to fit all the matches that they could or would want to on those 2 days. So they're like, "Well, it's WrestleMania week, so the SmackDown Friday before WrestleMania is like part of the thing." It's not. It's SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like I hate to be a party pooper, but it's not the same. So I really wish that Motor City Machine Guns were on this card, but as of right now they are not. They're on the SmackDown, which I do not care for. But I think War Raiders were going back to what they were in NXT, hopefully. It's so hard for me to like get myself out of the mentality of, oh, the War Raiders suck now, to like, oh no, we're going back to good stuff, hopefully. So maybe they'll put on a really good show here. New Day are classic mainstay tag team for WWE for like the last decade now.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance War Raiders retain here, just because, like, Triple H saying, like, we're putting our foot down. War Raiders are worth a damn again. So I think that's possible. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
The next matchup is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Jade Cargill a while ago was taken out by some mysterious person and injured, and then uh,
Yeah, to
she
cover
showed
a
up.
real world injury.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
she
then
had
she
like
showed
actually
up
hurt herself.
at Elimination Chamber, and we thought she was going to attack one person, but then she attacked Naomi, beat the snot out of her, took her out of that match, and now I guess we've paid off to Jade Cargill versus Naomi at WrestleMania. I think this is a very obvious Jade Cargill WrestleMania W. She has to win
Yeah,
this.
Jade has to win this. Although I do feel a little bit bad for Naomi because I feel like she hasn't gotten like any respect from WWE like basically ever. So,
That's true.
but Jade
That's true.
kind of needs it more. So,
I think when Naomi left and went to TNA, she very much like got to the top of that women's roster
yeah, she was champion
where
for
I
a
feel
while.
like she deserved. Naomi's very good. I like Naomi. I always have.
Yeah, I wouldn't put her in
Um,
like on my Mount Rushmore or anything, but she's good.
no,
Yeah,
but like she's very much she's been an important player,
yeah.
whether that's women's mid card or whatever.
We should do that
Um,
for a main topic of one of these recaps at some point. Is like who is our Mount Rushmore of women's wrestlers?
we could do men's wrestlers, women's wrestlers, and tag team wrestlers.
We should do that at some point. Yeah, yeah,
All right, yeah. You know
yeah.
I talk about wrestling.
Add that to the list.
All right, next up we got LA Knight, who is the current United States champion, versus Jacob Fatu. Man, I really like LA Knight,
Mm,
and it took him way too long to get a singles title. I think Jacob Fatu is going to unhinge his jaw like a snake and eat this
he's gonna
man.
swallow him whole. Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
snap off the Slim Jim that is LA Knight, unfortunately. And I do say I've never really gotten behind the LA Knight thing. It just hasn't the gimmick hasn't worked for me. Like I don't find him
Sure.
funny or interesting. He's a good wrestler. Like he's a talented performer.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like the I don't know, his like mannerisms and stuff are just like I don't know, he just feels like somebody's dad who's trying to be cool. He feels like midlife crisis the wrestler.
Mhm.
Um and it hasn't worked for me. But he is really good.
Mhm.
Like I understand why people like him.
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu's a monster. He's a literal
Yeah.
monster. He's called the
In
Samoan werewolf. He's a
in the
psychopath.
coolest way.
He's pretty cool. They built him really strong up until the point where I stopped watching weekly. I don't know what they've been doing with him lately, I guess. But he's a cool guy, and I think I mean genuinely, I don't think he needs a title, but it won't hurt. It's a U.S. title. It's not like it's a huge one, so go for it. Why
Right.
not?
Yeah. I wish the US title and the Intercontinental title were more important than they are, but they're not.
Yeah.
So, all right, next up we have something that I'll need you to explain to me because
Okay.
again, not watching regularly, but you said you knew what this was about. We have Rey
All right.
Mysterio, 619, versus El Grande Americano. And you said don't look up who that is. What's going on here?
El Grande Americano is Chad Gable pretending to be a luchador, and he is billed from the Gulf of America.
Okay.
And
And this is a WrestleMania match?
he keeps talking about like getting rid of the LWO. It's literally a deportation storyline.
Yeah, it makes sense. WWE always has their finger on the pulse, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty gross. Honestly, I would just cut the match. I would just cut the entire match. I don't care. I like, but whatever, man. It's not Chad Gable's fault. I love Chad Gable, and Rey Mysterio is a legend. I love Chad. I love Rey Mysterio. It's just like
Mhm.
this match because of the way that it's being billed. I don't care. I don't care at all.
Sometimes that's wrestling.
Yeah,
It's political and gross.
yeah. Well,
But I mean, I imagine how this will shake out. This seems like a very obvious. I mean, WWE makes the wrong choice a lot. This seems like a very obvious Chad Gable is, you know, being a being a bad guy.
yeah.
And
You have to
then
have Ray win this. If Ray
the
loses this,
the
R.I.P.
LWO, no matter what happens, win or lose, LWO is gonna like show up and there's gonna be a bunch of like massive Hispanic stars from WWE, past, present, and future, whatever. They're gonna show up and they're gonna beat
I
uh
think you mean what was it? Now, forever, always. Is that what it is?
no, I'm not the WWE slogan. Then now
Then
forever.
now for that's what it is. You're right.
Unless
You're
they
right.
changed it.
No,
I don't
you're
remember.
right. I just said it wrong.
Yes, he's gonna get his ass beat, but like, isn't it? Wouldn't it be the most WWE thing to like Chad Gable gets like a sneaky roll up pin, and then he's like ha ha ha, and then all of the LWO people come out and beat his ass, and then they all raise their hands as if they won something,
I
but they didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that there's like a relatively high chance of that being the case. I don't know, man. I don't. I would prefer if he just lost, but as long as he
Yeah,
gets his ass
it
kicked, like I'm kind of
it
okay.
it seems like such an obvious and easy way to have like a babyface win. Like, yeah, boo the bad guy, Rey Mysterio. We all love. No one's gonna boo Rey Mysterio unless
No,
he comes
yeah,
out number 30 at a Royal Rumble. But
true.
but yeah, I don't know. We'll. I'm gonna try to stop saying we'll see after every match, but
Yeah,
we'll
but
see.
unfortunately, that's sort of the case with. I mean, I was gonna say WWE, but I guess it's just wrestling pay-per-views in
It's
general.
wrestling. Yeah.
Where it's like this sounds really cool. Hope they don't ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, next
All right.
match.
Next up, we have a match with quite an interesting build. I don't know if you've seen anything of Tiffany Stratton, who's the current WWE Women's Champion,
Mhm.
versus Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I don't know what the build is. The one thing I heard about was like they had a promo that went off book or something, and like they started shit
Yeah.
talking each other. But
Do you
like,
remember? Do you
eh,
remember a few years ago when Charlotte and Becky Lynch swapped brands, so they had to like trade belts, and then
oh, and
it got
Charlotte,
really ugly and awkward, and like Charlotte like threw the belt at Becky.
she like refused to hand it to her, so she like threw it on the ground, and it
Yeah,
wasn't scripted. She was just being an
and it was
asshole.
yeah.
Yeah,
So Yeah, I mean, I'm not there. I don't work there. I don't know either of these women, so I don't know for sure. It seems like Charlotte's gone and bloody done it again because
sick dude, sick.
Tiffany came out and was like, I'm cool and new and you're old and no one likes you. The fans don't like you." And then Charlotte
Eh.
just kind of went off book from there. Or, I don't know who went off book first. That's an important thing
Did you
that I
watch the
should
promo,
say.
or is this just like general knowledge?
General knowledge.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, me neither.
So yeah, I'm not going to be putting any quotes in here, but apparently it was just very, very awkward. And then Charlotte was like, "Well, your boyfriend was in my DMs."
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, like I've never really been a huge fan of Charlotte. Again, she's a good wrestler. I just think she's like maybe not a great person.
She is, and I say this with no disrespect to her.
Yeah,
It's just a fact that she is the most overrated women's wrestler in WWE over the
yeah,
past like 10 years.
that's absolutely true.
And like there's points where she's been very good, very good.
Absolutely,
But still the overpush, the way that they've handled her, it's detrimental to her, I think.
it definitely is because people hate her, and not because of
Yeah.
like her heel work. They hate her because they're just sick
Mhm.
of seeing her, which is crazy because she's
Yeah.
been gone for a while, and now she's coming
Yeah.
back, and people are immediately like, "Bro, go away."
Yeah, because it seems like we're going back to the
Yeah,
time of Charlotte being shoehorned, because she literally was shoehorned. Just
literally.
like, I'm
Yeah.
Charlotte, so I get a match. It's like,
And
okay.
then I win the it's
Yeah.
and I also like don't super care about this is a match that I have very little to no interest in because I also don't really care about Tiffany Stratton. To me, she's just like, what if Mariah May was milk toast? So it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like she doesn't speak to me. I haven't seen a ton of her matches, so like maybe that's on me. Maybe she is great and I just don't know. But every time I've seen her specifically on the mic, I'm just like, that's just some
Mhm.
lady. That's just some lady. Like she's not.
Mhm.
She does not spark joy in me.
And then our main event for night one, surely, is Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Daniel, which person do you hate the least in this match?
I really only hate one of them. I actually like Roman and
Okay.
Seth at this point.
Okay.
But Punk can eat my ass
Yeah.
in a non-sexy way.
Daniel is very anti CM Punk,
Well,
and
because
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that in like, oh, I'm not anti CM Punk.
he's
There's
a
certain points where I'm like, nah, fuck this guy. But then
he's a
I don't know. I just
narcissistic,
yeah,
egotistical
he's trouble.
asshole, and he got
He's
fired from his
trouble.
last job for choking out a kid.
There's trouble.
Like, I don't know why. I don't know why we want him around. Genuinely, I don't know why anyone wants him around. He's toxic. He is the definition
Daniel,
of toxic.
that's wrestling.
He's he's toxic. He's slipping under. I don't care who wins as long as it's not Punk. That's where I'm at. If
Man, I
Punk
think there's such a solid chance Punk wins
if
this too.
if Punk wins, I'm not coming back for night two.
Oh no, okay.
Dead ass. Like I'll take a Sunday off. It'll be great.
Yeah, I mean Roman is probably one of the biggest names in this company for sure.
He's one of the biggest names in wrestling.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
huge. He's so good.
Seth Rollins is amazing as well, and then Punk is CM Punk.
Seth
This
Rollins
is
is amazing. I need him to stay off social media. I just
yeah,
need him to get
probably.
off social media because he
What
needs to stop talking.
has he said anything recently? There was a
I don't
problem
know.
with him like a while ago where he was like the WWE guy in a very annoying WWE time.
Yeah,
And so he like kept putting his foot in his mouth, Doug Bowser style.
true.
And it was just like, Seth, if you don't shut up, I can't be a fan.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I
But
really like him.
but
Generally,
yeah, but then he spent the last like couple years like me personally winning my affection back, and I'm like, Seth's so cool. I think this match will be really good. In
I
another
agree.
company, this match would be very bloody, but I don't think it'll get bloody here.
It might a little bit. I my one thing about this match is I'm curious to see Paul Heyman's involvement. I know that he's now going to be
Yeah.
in Punk's corner, which is cool.
Yeah,
I think that
that's
makes sense.
crazy.
I genuinely like that. I genuinely like those two together, even though I love Paul Heyman and hate CM Punk as human beings. I think that they are a
Yeah,
good pair, storyline wise,
yeah,
story writing,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it, wise.
There's a whole
Um,
Paul Heyman's going to play a big part in this, whatever it
Paul
is,
Heyman is like
because
one of the best
he's
things to happen to wrestling ever. I do want to also point out with this match, the Punk finally getting a main event thing. I think that's great. I'm glad that he's finally getting it, even though I hate him. I think that that's like a cool thing. I also get a lot of Schadenfreude out of the fact that like a year ago he was talking shit to I think Seth Rollins about like how night one's main event doesn't really count, and now he
yeah,
is on night one's main event.
yeah.
Frankly, suck my
Funny how
wangus, Punk.
funny how stuff works out, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And he's gonna go get that blood money in Saudi Arabia too. I guarantee it. That's happening.
he did say some things
He said
about
some
Saudi
things he
Arabia
shouldn't
at
have
that
said.
time,
He
and
basically
then
was like,
turns
that
out,
company's terrible and everyone who works there is doing it because they're terrible people too. And then he went like, well, no one else will hire me. Guess I'll go work for the devil. Oops.
That's wrestling.
That's wrestling.
Anyways,
Yeah.
that's night one. If I had to pick a winner for night one,
It's not.
the fact that Paul Heyman is in Punk's corner
Yeah. I feel like
is like,
it's gonna be Punk, and I'm gonna be pissed, and it's gonna be Punk.
well, no, I feel like it's not going to be Punk because Paul Heyman is going to factor directly into the finish of this match, and I don't know who he's going to help because there was that bit where I don't know if you saw, someone got taken out, whether it was Roman or Punk, I don't remember, but Paul Heyman was like leaning over their unconscious body, and then Seth was like in the corner about to do the curb stomp on Paul Heyman, and then he runs up and then just like
I would have loved to
he
see
does
it.
that movie thing where you stab the knife directly next to the head, Rambo 2 style.
Oh, it was like,
Yeah, he stomps right next to Paul's head, and Paul, with his big walrus face, looks up, terrified, shocked, tears in his eyes, and Seth says, "Now you owe me a favor."
"Oh, you owe me."
And everyone's like, "Oh."
Oh, I don't think that's
So
how that
like, I
works,
don't.
but all right.
What's gonna go on here, man?
I
I don't really know.
I hear you, and that is good writing, or interesting writing at least. But what I foresee with this is that CM Punk does some dirt nasty shit during the match, and they use it as a
Yeah.
way to mend the relationship between Seth and Roman.
Ooh, maybe. I think the biggest thing in CM Punk's favor for winning this match is the fact that he didn't get a Mania match last year.
Or ever. Well,
Oh,
sorry,
well,
main
he's
event.
had Mania
Main
matches,
event.
but yeah,
Sorry.
Mania.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really count this as a main event.
Yeah, me
Night
neither,
one,
but like he
it-
cried about it, so clearly he does.
it's fine, man. Whatever. But yeah, I don't know. This one's a complete toss-up. But moving on to night two, because
Night
we got 7 more
2.
matches to handle
Yeah.
here.
On to hour 10 of WrestleMania.
All right, so for the women's world title, which is different from the women's title.
They used to just be called Raw and SmackDown, so you knew which show that they were for. But now, who knows?
Okay, so we have Io Sky, one of my favorites, versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley.
And
To
Io
be
is the
fair,
current
most
champion.
most
Yeah.
of these women are my favorites. Yeah, Io Sky is the current women's world champion,
Yeah.
and Bianca is a multi-time champion, and Rhea is a multi-time champion. So this is just like a roulette of who's going to land with this title. I jokingly referred to this earlier as the who's going to beat Io match,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. I love Io.
Yeah. I
This
don't
is
foresee her walking out of here with the championship, though.
no, I don't either.
I don't see it happening. I don't even know who I want to walk out of here with the championship, because like Rhea's probably my favorite, but she's been champion a lot lately. I don't think she
Yeah,
needs
she's
it.
done.
Like she can go do some other storylines.
Yeah.
And then Bianca, like I also like Bianca. I don't necessarily love her, but like, does her being champion give her anything? Like, it's complicated because it's like all three of these people I could equally see being champion, and I could also say that like none of them need to be champion. Like I don't think adding another championship reign to any of these three women is gonna like raise their, I don't know, value, esteem, whatever you want to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is that crazy?
I'm gonna put out a prediction here.
Yeah.
Even though I said it's very unlikely for Io to win, I'm gonna say Io retains here.
Oh, like Bianca and
Because
Rhea beat the hell out of each other, and Io gets a sneaky win at the end.
not just that, and you know what? Again, admittedly, haven't been watching regularly. I don't know how the storyline plays out. But when Jade Cargill came back and beat the out of Naomi, Bianca was very sad and scared of the whole thing. I think
Mm.
maybe night one, Jade Cargill beats the snot out of Naomi in this match, and then gets like a hint or learns finds a
Oh,
clue
and then
that Naomi did it for The Rock, and by The Rock I mean
Bianca.
Bianca. And so Jade comes in
That's smart.
this match,
That's
night
so
two,
smart.
costs Bianca the thing, and then
Oh,
Io gets the sneaky
no.
thing.
So you went a different direction than I thought. I thought she beats out of Naomi, figures out whatever that Bianca was involved. Bianca wins, and then it becomes the feud of Jade versus Bianca for the championship.
You know what? That sounds smarter.
I
So there's a possibility, but I think Jade's gonna get involved as well. That's where
could
we'll
see
end
that.
it.
I could definitely see that. I think you've convinced me it's going to be Bianca. That would be my official
Well,
prediction if we're making
because my thought process is Jade. Jade has like a big 4 pay-per-view championship win written all over her. Maybe that's just my own personal bias because I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't want to see her win the championship at Clash at the Castle or whatever, or even Money in the Bank.
No, but I
I
think
would want to see her win at like SummerSlam at the
yeah.
very least.
Well, I think you could prolong this feud to SummerSlam. Yeah.
Next up, we got uh for the Intercontinental Championship. Okay, we got Braun Breaker, the current Intercontinental Champion, versus Penta, big fan. His brother just showed up too.
Yeah.
Versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I
If
think
yeah.
this little fatal four-way is tailor-made for Braun Breaker to beat the snot out of a bunch of people and get an easy pinfall on Dominic Mysterio. Doesn't make Finn look weak, doesn't make Penta look weak.
I think I think you're probably right. I think if they're smart, they put it on Penta. They're most likely to put it on Braun, and if they're stupid, it somehow winds up on Dom.
I would
Yeah.
love to see Penta with a championship. I do think he basically just showed up, so I don't see it happening
Probably
yet.
not.
But I don't know. I wouldn't be super angry with any of these guys winning, I guess. Like I said, I expect Braun to win, and I'm a fan of shitty Dominic Mysterio's heel tactics. I think it's funny. So
Eh,
if that happened, that'd be kind of interesting, I guess.
yeah.
Next up, we got Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. I
I
don't know.
this will be a good match, and yet I don't really care about it, and I don't really know why that is. I
Yeah, I
saw it and I was
don't.
like, because I feel like I've seen it a bunch. I think that might be it.
So Damian cashed in on Drew McIntyre last WrestleMania. Surely that's factored into the build, which I haven't been watching. That's all I got.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I want Drew to win because I feel like he's been getting shit on for like 5 years. So I would like for him to win something ever.
He has, but I feel like ever since, because Damian Priest had that rather long and fairly good world title run. If he, but I feel like ever since he's lost it, he's just kind of getting smacked around, and I feel like him losing here is like the period on the sentence that is Damian Priest. You know what I mean?
I agree, but I also think that like he had a thing and Drew
That's
hasn't.
true. That's true. Well, he had a thing, but during the COVID era, no one was in the crowd,
True.
so
Also true.
that's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
It is a toss up,
know.
but I want it to be
I,
Drew.
I think I like Drew better. I don't dislike Damian Priest.
No, no, he's fine.
We'll see. This is not a piss break match. It's probably a I'll look at my phone for a minute match.
No,
To
there
be
are
fair.
Pittsburgh mats on this night, but it's not that one.
Is it fortunately is it AJ Styles versus Logan Paul?
Yes. Yeah, that's one of them for sure.
And let me tell you, it's not AJ Styles' fault.
No, no. Although I don't know, he has been kind of like slowing down lately. Let's be honest.
He's getting up there.
Yeah,
He's been steadily climbing towards retirement for a while now.
yeah.
Even though he's been gone for a bit.
He has. He's back, and he was like looking a lot better when he first came back. So like he can still wrestle. I'm not saying he's like bad or anything. It's just like I don't know. AJ's another one of those guys that I feel like they just never really did enough with. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree because when he showed up, he was so hot, and I mean that in a wrestling sense, not a sexy sense.
He can
Although
be
and
both. It
maybe
can be all right.
he was yeah.
He's a solid like 8
But
out of 10.
I feel like although I agree with you that they didn't do enough with him. He didn't hold the world championship like 5 times. He only held it twice, I think.
Yeah, but also like I don't. He didn't hold it for very long. I don't think, and it was during a time period where they were swapping him around a lot.
It's a bit here and there, but um he at the same time, and this is factoring into what he's done other places like Japan and TNA and Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Um, he's also a guy who's done everything. Like I feel like if he did retire like this year, he was like, this is my retirement tour. Goodbye, everybody. Everyone would give him a big round of applause and he'd be in the Hall of Fame and no one could say boo at any of that.
True.
That being said, he is against Logan Paul, who I will begrudgingly say is good in the ring,
Mhm.
but he's just how can you like this guy?
It's impossible. It's physically impossible.
Man, he just and it's not a oh, he's such a good wrestling bad guy. No, he's just a bad guy
He's just a
in
bad
real
person.
life
Yeah.
and nobody I don't want him on my TV and like, oh yeah, he did a buckshot lariat. Cool.
Good for him.
He's
Great,
very
great.
yeah, he can do a big like Spanish fly. He's doing moves all right.
Yeah,
I
unfortunately,
just don't like it.
I
I
think
see
he's
him
gonna
winning
win.
this.
He's definitely gonna win.
Yeah, which scares me, right? Because Logan Paul, I don't know if he's won at WrestleMania. His first match was against no, like in a tag team with
Yeah,
The Miz or something. I don't remember if he's ever had a WrestleMania win. I think this is it, and I think him getting a win over AJ Styles means where does he go next? And I want him to go home. I don't I don't want him to like get a intercontinental title run or God forbid another world title shot. I'm done with Logan Paul, man. And you can
I
call me a hater. I guess I am.
yeah no, I mean you are, but he's a person worth hating, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Next match.
Next match, we have a women's tag match, which the list I'm looking at only has half, so you'll have to fill in the other half for me if you remember.
I do.
We got Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who are the women's tag team champions,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Versus whoever won a gauntlet match on this SmackDown, which was Bailey and
Lyra Valkyria.
right.
Yeah, which is
Okay, so we
weird
have
because Lyra Valkyria is, I think, the Intercontinental Champion or
I
something.
believe that's correct. I believe that's correct.
She's either that or the U.S. Champion. She has one of the mid card titles, and the other one is held by Chelsea Green, who does not currently have a match and may not get one.
WWE's always had a problem with tag teams in
I
general,
thought you were gonna
but
say women, and either way, you'd be right.
oh, yes, but I was gonna let me double down and say specifically they've had a problem with women's tag teams
Yeah, it's like
where
the least important. Well, sorry, no, the Speed Championship is this now. It's one of the least important titles to ever exist in this company.
without a doubt across any medium of all of wrestling, the coolest tag teams are the ones that were designed to be a tag team and they gel
Yes,
together.
absolutely.
Um, um, the Usos, they're twin brothers.
Mm.
Okay, let's look at
And
women's tag teams, right?
yeah,
The Kabuki Warriors
true,
were
absolutely great.
Asuka and
Kairi Sane,
and
love them.
Kairi Sane. And granted, they were just thrown together because they were both Japanese, and then they put the
Yes,
word Kabuki in the name. But
which is
they were really
crazy
good together.
because
They like
neither of
matched
them
each
were
other's flow and
Kabuki.
everything. But there's a problem in wrestling where we need a tag team, so we just take two people and stick them together and we call it a tag team.
Yep.
And a lot of times in WWE and other places as well, I won't say it's just a WWE problem. Those people will win the titles, and then like instead of like there being a cool tag team with a cool gimmick and a cool name, it's like now the champion is this guy and this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
And I feel like
okay.
about half the time they don't even really like each other.
No.
Yeah.
And that's happened like basically every other time there was a champion with these titles specifically, the women's tag team championships in WWE.
Yeah. And like Liv and Raquel are friends. So like they kind of work, but not
They've
really.
they've been a thrown together tag team long enough that we're willing to accept it.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where you're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's like at least they have history and they've won the belts before together, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Bailey and Lyra, it's like, well, we just got two people thrown together.
Yeah,
This
it's literally
and I
just, hey,
don't
these two people should be on WrestleMania, so here they are.
I like some of the women in this match, and I'm okay with some of the other women. This is the piss break match, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think this one and the AJ match, and honestly, like, I hate to say it, but like probably the Randy match for me too, depending on who that. I mean, we'll get to it.
All right, yeah, I did skip the Randy Orton match because it was originally supposed to be Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, which was like a feud that's been going on ever since they were allied with Cody Rhodes, and then there was a big blow up. Kevin got very angry at a lot of stuff, and you know what? He wasn't entirely wrong.
No.
Although got a little violent, so it's okay. But yeah, Kevin recently had a neck injury. I don't think anyone said where or when it happened. He's been dealing with it, I guess.
Hmm.
And so he's out for surgery, and it's an injury that's going to keep him sidelined for a while.
Yeah.
His projected thing was like, I hope to be back within like a year, but there were other things saying like this could keep him out for like 2 years, or the initial reports was like he might just be done, which was scary because I love Kevin Owens.
He's really good. Um, but yeah,
But
I don't
yes,
know who's gonna
uh,
gonna go up against Randy, and I don't think I really care. Like, I like Randy well enough. I joke that he's a heel because he says that he's from St. Louis and he's not. I'm from
Yeah.
St. Louis originally, for people who don't know. I don't know. He's just one of those wrestlers that it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of tired of seeing you. Like, go away.
Well, yeah. So I don't think you're the only person that thinks that, because if I had to say there was a problem with Randy Orton, is he started wrestling when he was so young. Which, by the way, we're gonna have that problem with a lot of people coming up, because like there's such most of like the current generation of wrestlers started when they were very, very young,
Yeah, they're
and they're
like
gonna keep going.
22.
They're gonna keep going till they're like 45, and so you're gonna be like, oh, haven't we already seen this guy for 10 years? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but he's not done yet.
Logan Paul's going to wrestle until he's 60.
Oh, fantastic. I
Yeah,
don't want to put a
I don't
shelf
know.
life on him.
Well, who do you think he is
But
going to end up being up against? Has there been any rumors to this? Do you know anything?
oh yeah, duh. Okay, so the name that people keep throwing around, because, and this would be kind of neat, although I don't know how it would end. Uh, One of the things Randy did upon losing Kevin Owens as his opponent
Hmm.
is he gave a hearty RKO to SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis.
Oh,
And so people are
sure.
like, "Oh, Nick can wrestle." So maybe we get him in the ring for a thing, and it would be kind of neat. I
Yeah.
don't know how much the WWE fan. Well, I think WWE fans who don't know, because there's a lot. Let's be honest. WWE fans only watch WWE and they don't know people from other things, and they hear like, "Oh, Nick Aldis used to wrestle other places," and they don't care that he was NWA champion
No, yeah. I
at
mean,
one
they
point.
famously like started doing Bullet Club stuff in WWE, and people were like, I don't know or care what that is. So,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
during a time period where the Bullet Club was like the biggest thing in the wrestling world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, no, WWE fans are notoriously out of touch with anything else.
All of them, every single one of you. If you're listening, that's you.
Yeah. Get bent guy in the smiley face green shirt.
Oh, you don't want heat with him. He's gonna hold up a sign in the front row.
I hope he does, because it would have to have our podcast name on it.
Oh.
Get bent, that guy.
Anyways, yeah, I think they're probably keeping that as like a safety net. Him versus Nick Aldis, because like people would be like, it's a very obvious thing where Nick Aldis comes out and he's like, I was able to find you a opponent for tonight, Randy, and it's me. And he starts taking off his clothes and he runs in the ring and they do a
Right.
match. And I'm not saying Nick Aldis wins that for sure. I mean, I don't really
Right.
know. I don't know what you do with that if that's the case, and that's probably, and I don't know who wins it. So moving on to, I believe, the last match, the main event of the entire WrestleMania.
The actual main event.
Cody Rhodes, the current undisputed WWE champion, versus a heel John Cena.
Hmm. May I introduce to you my hot take about this match?
Please do.
If John Cena doesn't win, this match is a waste of time.
Oh, 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 oh. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, full stop. We have just wasted everyone's time if John Cena doesn't win this. He's wrestling for the rest of the year. He needs to beat Cody Rhodes and then hold the title one last time. This is his farewell tour for the audience who, I don't know if you're still, if you are a wrestling fan and you've made it this far into the podcast, God bless you. We've been talking about wrestling for like 45 minutes. But this is his last year of wrestling until he retires and becomes like full-time Hollywood, basically, is what the assumption is. So he needs one last run. He's John Cena. He needs to have the championship. If he does not win this match, then he spends the rest of this year doing what? Little bit matches against whoever jobber he wants. Like, no, this is John Cena. The Rock should probably get involved and somehow cheat Cody out of this title. And then for the rest of the year that he's wrestling, it needs to be this big blow up feud that's like really entertaining and draws people in. And John Cena, I think, needs the title to do that. Because
I don't
yeah.
disagree with you.
I think
don't
that
disagree with
I think that the story becomes a lot more compelling if John Cena wins. Like the story of his retirement. And quite
So-
frankly, and I like Cody Rhodes. I used to love
Yeah.
him. I'm kind of getting a little bored of him, and I feel like that's the case for a lot of people. So I think
Yeah.
like spice him up. I think one of the biggest issues with the Cody Rhodes story right now is it's like, well, he finished the story, and now everyone is like, well, he can't lose it until The Rock takes it from him, or Roman Reigns takes it from him. Well, screw
Yeah.
that. Give it to John Cena, and then have like John Cena lose it to The Rock within The Rock, or like lose it to Cody at whatever his last match is. I guess it'll be Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And then The Rock can like somehow screw it up, and then that becomes the thing for the following WrestleMania. Like there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. Cody Rhodes doesn't have to hold the title for the entire time in between now and when The Rock finally decides to have a match. If The Rock is not going to have this match, let Cody lose it. It's a more compelling story than just like, oh, we have this guy who never loses.
Yeah, I think it would be a very good story, and I think it would work out in the long run, especially for Cena's final year, where so Cody loses it here to heel Cena, whether it be heel tactics or Cena just out wrestles him, which he can still do. I mean, we're gonna see Cena like cheat during the match, which I'm not gonna say we've seen before because Cena was like never a bad guy, but it was like he would always cheat against bad guys if he needed to, right? That's just what wrestling is.
Right.
Um,
That's the first. That's the first law of thugonomics, I'm told. So
absolutely. But yeah, so I think Cody Rhodes is the main dude right now.
in
If it's not
wrestling,
Roman, yeah, in wrestling, he's the main character of wrestling,
yeah,
the sport, if you will. So
which is, and I love him, but he is
yeah,
kind of a chud too. Like he's kind of a
he's,
loser.
he's a silly goose.
He's a little bit
He
of
yelled
a.
at a friend of ours on Twitter one
He did
time.
yell at a friend of ours on Twitter, but even beyond that, because like I yell at that friend, she has it coming sometimes.
She
Uh,
does.
but like I don't know, I love him. He's just like I don't know. He comes off as like kind of a putz sometimes. You know what I mean?
Maybe. But I still think the crowd's very much behind him. I'm behind him, but like so John Cena wins this for one reason or another.
Hell yeah!
I'm pretty sure that's his 17th title win, which is the Ric Flair record.
All the more reason to do it.
Yeah, I agree. If that's a John Cena record from now forever, that's awesome. And then I think I was saying this during when I thought he was going to win the Rumble, right? Where I clearly didn't predict he was going to turn heel, but I was like, if he wins the championship and then he says, "I am the champion. I'm gonna stay here until I lose this championship. I'm not
Mhm.
going to retire while I have this championship." Or maybe they do a thing where it's just like, "This is the date I'm retiring, and if you don't beat me, I'm taking this belt with me." Then he holds. I mean, it made more sense when I said he was not a guy, but holds the like an open challenge every once in a while. But now, if he still does that, he can just like cheat every time, and that'd be interesting and funny.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, get him on like this weekly list of like Cena wrestles this guy, Cena wrestles this guy. Maybe weekly is asking a bit much for 2025 John Cena, but
yeah,
he wrestles a bunch of people. Like, basically, he makes a wish list of like who are the dudes in the company that I want to face. He does that, and then meanwhile, Cody Rhodes is I've fallen from the pedestal. I need to work my way back up. He earns a match at SummerSlam or preferably Survivor Series since it's closer to the end of the year. And he finally like gets back against Cena, and then Cena tries to cheat the way he cheats at Mania, but Cody's ready for it, or The Rock's not there, or something. And then Cody gets the title back, and that's Cena's. So like losing to John Cena is not going to hurt Cody Rhodes,
no,
and then Cody Rhodes retiring Cena later in the year is not going to tarnish Cena's legacy,
no.
and it's just panned out for a great year. I think that's what I want to happen. I don't know if it will happen. It could very well be that Cody Rhodes just wins and we all just go home a little bored.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that I think this is pretty much a toss up as far as that's concerned.
Now,
Because WWE is like
everything,
really, really protective of their
yeah,
champion.
yeah.
And I think that that is in some ways good and in other ways detrimental to storytelling.
Sometimes it's detrimental.
Yeah. So we'll see. I I'll be honest with you. I'm like only
Yeah.
mildly excited for WrestleMania this year, and a lot of that is because it's 2 days. I don't like 2 day wrestling events. I think that it is a lot to ask for you to ask your audience to give up their entire weekend to just sit and watch your dudes punch each other. I think that is a big
Sure.
ask,
I'll
especially
say
when a lot
I
of those
prefer
matches.
it.
Yeah,
I'll say I prefer it to what they were doing before, which was, 10 straight hours of wrestling on a Sunday.
I agree.
But that being said, we discussed
Yeah,
this before the show. We started the recording. They've announced each night has a 3-hour pre-show, and then like extra long like post show scrum,
Yeah,
right?
which I will not be
So
watching.
it all equals out to 9 hours of wrestling content each day, which I'm not watching that pre-show. As soon
Hmm.
as the main show ends, I'm turning it off.
Hmm.
I will watch opening match to closing match each night. That is it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I think that I'm in the same boat. I think that you could pretty easily condense this card into one night because I think a lot of these matches don't need to happen, quite frankly. So like
Well,
I think you can here's my pitch for better WrestleMania one night WrestleMania, right? Is you cut every match except Jade versus Naomi, Gunther Jey Uso, Roman Punk Seth, Liv and Raquel. You can keep that match just because like we need a women's match. That one is
big
like
demon
negotiable.
women, yeah.
You keep the Intercontinental Braun Penta Finn Dom, uh, and then you keep Io Bianca Rhea and Cody Rhodes John Cena, and that's it. That's the whole card. I think you cut literally everything else. You make it a 4-ish hour pay per view. Maybe some of these other matches make the pre show, and then
Yeah.
everyone goes home happy.
There's also certain things that I feel like could have been put in lieu of, especially if we are doing 2 nights and we have 3-hour pre-shows.
Yeah, if it's a 3 hour
Like
pre show, there's no excuse for this Street Profits tag title match being on SmackDown.
100%.
That's frankly
We
offensive.
need to. You can bump. I mean, I don't want to say who deserves a main card match versus who deserves a pre-show match. I really don't like that. It makes me feel icky.
Yeah, it's gross,
But
but also bump the New Day match and the War Raiders match, and put the Street Profits one in
mm,
there because they are a more important team right now. They have
yeah, and
more story ahead of them. We've seen the
and
New
Motor
Day for a
City
decade.
Motor City Machine Guns are fairly new to the company.
Yeah,
They're finally WWE. They're champions, or did they lose them? I don't
I think
remember.
they did lose that. The Street Profits are the title are the champions right now.
Right. So then, yeah,
Yeah,
Motor City lost
yeah,
it to
yeah.
them, and,
So they
and then
don't
they're
have it.
gonna get it back. But man, put that on Mania. Why is there no ladder match? I every for a while, for a
the
long
The
time,
Intercontinental
every
match
year,
should be a ladder match.
yeah, put 2 more guys in it.
You don't even need the two more guys.
It's a
Honestly,
fatal four. Yeah, okay.
for
It
me,
could be a it could be a 4-way ladder match.
I think
That's
you just put
fine.
the ladders in there.
Um, and then I know that it's become a meme because people don't care anymore. But the Andre the Giant Battle Royal,
It's a good way to
I
get your
I
jobbers and
like
your mid card
yeah,
on the top card.
I like the idea of having a tradition. WrestleMania, maybe like okay, if we do 2 nights going forward every year forever until we all die and the sun explodes.
Hmm.
Night 1 opens with the Andre, night 2 opens with a ladder match. Why would we not do that? That seems cool. And then uh the Andre gets everybody who's not with a match that gets them in the thing. We call it the And the Rest Battle
Are we
Royal.
not doing the Andre
But
at all? It's not on the SmackDown before the
no, so
pre-show. It's
they
just gone.
they just announced it today
Okay, so it is
as of
happening,
recording.
but
They
like on
just
the
announced it,
pre-show.
and it is on SmackDown. They've been doing it on SmackDown for the last couple years.
Bro,
And
fuck out of here.
again, with super long pre-shows, why? Right?
Waste
Like
of time.
you could do the men because they had women's one too for a while before they stopped caring. You could do the men's battle royal one night and the women's battle royal another night, but they're not doing it.
Yeah,
So I don't really get it, man.
me
Other
neither.
than other than if you're on WrestleMania, you get a bigger paycheck, and we don't want to give everybody paychecks. I guess
True.
I don't
I mean,
know.
that's the whole. That's the so this guy Nick Khan came in audience, and his whole job after he came in has been to just like cut as much spending as possible. He is the Elon Musk of WWE, and it's largely been through firing people.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised if another part of that is like we need less people on the Mania card.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Which means if there's no matches during this pre-show, they expect anybody, and I know somebody will,
A
but they
brar.
expect somebody to sit down and watch 3 hours of Booker T going shucky ducky quack quack
Yeah,
on a for 2 nights.
for
So
2 nights.
6 hours total of nothing happening, no wrestling, and they're just like, "Here's the match. We got 30 minutes to talk about the Gunther Jey Uso match. Who do you think's gonna win?" And Big E has to be like, "Oh, either one can."
Hmm.
That's not content. That's you're wasting my time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of wasting time, we did just hit 2 hours on the recording, so I do think we need to get out of here pretty
Hell
fast here.
yeah.
What are your sort of
Hell
like
yeah.
closing thoughts on WrestleMania? Do you like what is your general hype going into it? I already said I'm not very excited, but I'm excited enough to watch it, but not much more. Where are you sitting at?
my closing thoughts is I am gonna watch it. I guess that's
I
really
mean,
it.
yeah, we're gonna watch it together. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. We're
It's
gonna
gonna
have
be an
a
excuse to have pizza and wings.
yeah, we're gonna have a couple buddies over. We're gonna order some pizza. I'll crack a couple cold ones and watch some wrestling. It's really more of WrestleMania as an event than I am excited about the show. There's things that I'm like curious about, like, oh, what's gonna happen here? But like nothing's got me like shaking in anticipation. The only wrestling show that I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait for that is gonna be All In, but that's only because we have tickets.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean,
It's
I do think personally that I will be more interested in that card, because I am more of an AEW fan.
hopefully unless
But well, we know Osprey's
unless
gonna like main event it, but whatever.
that's
It's
cool.
like the us going to it is the biggest part of why I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think this will be fine. I'm looking forward to it enough, you know, unless something else gets announced going in that I like don't care at all about and it like outweighs the positive, then I am content to enjoy this.
You know,
Um,
worth mentioning really quick.
yeah,
I don't even know for sure if The Rock's gonna be there.
I think he'll interfere with the Cody Rhodes match in some way.
He's not listed as being in Cena's corner or anything.
No, but we know he is.
We never know with Dwayne because he's like, I'm important and I'm always gonna be
Well, that's
around,
why.
and he'll show up at the end of Hell in a Cell for no reason, and then he'll go 5 pay-per-views in a row,
Yeah,
and then he'll show up and be like, Cody, get your soul, and it's like, dude, either be here or don't.
it's WrestleMania though, so I feel like it will show up. But that's why the pre-show is
Yeah.
3 hours long, so that he can be 3 hours late and piss in a bottle before his match.
Multiple bottles, excuse you.
Yeah,
That man
he
has a lot of
pisses.
piss.
He pisses hard. As was I'm sure explained in the plot of Moana 2, a movie I have not seen. Anyway, if you made it through all of this wrestling talk, first of all, bless you, and second of all, please like, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube and Spotify. We need all the engagement, all the help we can get. You know what all the YouTubers want you to do, and we also would like for you to do those things for us. Leave a review if you're on Spotify. That actually really helps us. I'm not really sure how it works over there, but it does. You can follow the show on Twitter at @RSR_POD. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McG.
You can follow me at Skyler 8-bit on Blue Sky.
And until next time, everybody, we'll see you around.
See you around.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Press play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intertwine.